Solicitor General Gopal Subramaniam's elevation to the Supreme Court, a consistent theme among critics and commentators alike has been that the judiciary's independence is being threatened by the Modi government. Meanwhile, in an assertion that may pitch the government and the top judiciary head-on, Chief Justice of India R.M. Lodha said that the government had acted unilaterally in segregating the name of Gopal Subramaniam. Now, the CJI has the power to reiterate the Supreme Court Collegium's nomination of Subramaniam and ensure his elevation without giving the government any choice. Now, on the big picture tonight, we are going to take a look at the legal and constitutional aspects of this entire controversy. And to do exactly that, I have with me in our studio as well, joining us on the show today, H.S. Phoolka, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court, joining us here. Also with us is Mr. K.T.S. Tulsi, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court, Dr. Udit Raj, Lok Sabha MP of the BJP, joining us as well, and we also have a journalist amongst us, Satya Prakash, legal editor of the Hindustan Times. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you for joining us this evening on The Big Picture. Mr. KTS Tulsi, I'd like to start with you, of course. By opposing Gopal Subramanian's appointment, has the government really encroached upon the judiciary's independence?
I don't think so. The Constitution vests the power of appointment of judges, including the judges of the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice of India, with the President of India. And government is not an alien. The President essentially has to act on the advice of the government in power at that time. And we can't say that the government is completely alien. The government is supposed to form an opinion. The only question is of propriety, that if the government has a different viewpoint, it can discuss it with the Chief Justice and convey its viewpoint, and the Chief Justice may then choose to go back to the Collegium or may agree with and the Collegium may agree with the government's viewpoint or may not agree with the government's viewpoint. But we can't say that the government is completely alien to the process of appointments. The appointments to the Supreme Court, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar very categorically said in the Constituent Assembly that we are not willing to vest the power of appointment of judges with the Chief Justice of India. He said that the power of appointment must rest with the executive, and the President is the head of the nation, and therefore the power must rest with the President. So I think that there has been this is a matter of impropriety, but not that the government has no role in this matter.
But the CJI also clearly has a say, Mr. Tulsi. What has happened in this particular instance is that the CJI has come out and said that this decision was taken unilaterally. Shouldn't he have been consulted first and then this decision taken?
That's what I'm saying, that Chief Justice is correct. That if the government had a different viewpoint, that viewpoint ought to have been brought to the notice of the Chief Justice before the rest of the file was either segregated or sent on to the President for approval. In this case, the government chose to adopt a procedure which has also been adopted on many occasions of segregating the file, sending the ones about which there is no controversy to the President, and then the government may be intending to send it back to the Collegium with its own comments. And the Collegium could have reconsidered it. But before the Collegium could reconsider it, and before the government could really have the file placed before the Chief Justice of India on his return from abroad, the candidate, that is the nominee, Mr. Gopal Subramaniam, chose to withdraw his consent for elevation.
Yes.
So therefore, he made the matter, made the Collegium functus officio. After that, the Collegium, even if it disagreed with the government's viewpoint, could not have recommended the name because he had withdrawn his consent for elevation. So that was the absurdity of the situation.
Indeed, of course, that was the absurdity of the situation, Mr. H.S. Phoolka. I mean, if you look at the situation, had Mr. Gopal Subramaniam not have withdrawn his particular letter, of course, then certainly something could have been done by the Collegium. But now even the Collegium is has no choice really as far as this matter is concerned. It's a matter that's been left to the history books now, isn't it?
No, that is true. After the withdrawal of by Mr. Subramaniam. Now this is more or less a history now. But let me first comment on what Mr. Tulsi says. With due respect, I do not agree with him. Now Mr. Tulsi says government is also right and the Chief Justice is also right. Chief Justice says the government is interfering in the functioning of the judiciary. So how can both be right? One of them is wrong. Now Mr. Tulsi is referring to the debates of the Constituent Assembly. We have the established law, the judgments of the Supreme Court. Since last more than 20 years, the established practice, it is the collegium who is to finalize final authority, and then the appointment is made by the President. It is the collegium's power to appoint the judges. The system, many parties have said, need to be changed. Judicial Commission need to be appointed. A prominent jurist also need to be come in, but that has not been done. As on today, the law of the land is the collegium is the final authority. So now, the government interference into it, segregating the Nile without discussing with the Chief Justice, and that also the suspicion that government has done it because of the reason that Gopal Subramaniam gave difficult times to the BJP when he was amicus curiae in Sobatin's case, and because of that Amit Shah had to go to jail. So that makes the matter much more serious. It's not a matter of Gopal Subramaniam now. The matter is whether the government should interfere like this into the system, established system, which is going on since last more than 2 decades now.
That's an interesting point that you're raising, of course. Satya Prakash, I'd like to take that to you. Of course, several critics and several commentators have come out and said that their biggest worry is that the BJP is going to continue to do this in the future. Do you see that happening?
I think the entire discussion is misplaced in the sense the discussion should be completely focused on the collegium system, and that is, this controversy has brought out the shortcomings of the collegium system, and those who established this system, Justice J.S. Verma, who was part of the bench that delivered the 1993 verdict that led to the collegium system, and Mr. Fali Nariman, senior advocate, who argued for the system, both have said that the system has failed. The debate should be whether the collegium system should continue or not. Any particular individual being appointed or not being appointed, to me it doesn't matter. What matters is the system, and this particular controversy has brought out the shortcomings in the system. The debate should be whether and how, whether we should replace the system and how we can replace the system, because this notorious system, it has given us judges like Justice Dinakaran and Justice Soumitra Sen, and nobody, the entire discussion, what is the discussion? That government has leaked. I am saying some journalist getting some information. I am not saying whether the information is right or wrong. This system that runs completely, in any democratic system, you cannot have this kind of system which is completely opaque right from the beginning of the day, on the day when the name is sent, recommended, and till the time the president signs the warrant of appointment, nobody knows who is going to be appointed. If somebody is going to be appointed, and I have great regard for Mr. Subramaniam, but if any information that relates to him, good, bad or ugly, if he is being appointed, that should be debated, and if something has come out in the open, nobody should feel hurt. If you feel hurt, you should not give your consent for appointment.
Indeed. Do you agree with what he is saying, Mr. Phoolka? I mean, the system itself, the debate now should be a larger debate about how the system is.
No, that is true.
Yeah, let just complete this point.
What everybody, I'm glad Mr. Tulsi said something which is I would say rather sane. Otherwise, everybody is defending the opaque system of collegium system for appointment. This should not be done. What should be done is how we can replace this system.
So should this system be replaced?
This has been, since a long time, this has been going on, that the collegium system need to be replaced, and there needs to be a judicial commission where apart from the government, there has to be a leader of opposition. There should be also independent jurist as a part of that, so that there is a total transparency into it. It is not that the government may pick up a person of its own choice and appoint it, or government may reject a person of whom he doesn't like it. So that has been going on. That's a larger debate on the issue. But in the BJP also had been demanding, supporting the demand of the Judicial Appointment Commission. Now that's a different issue. The issue here is till that is done. Now, but segregating the name of one person on account of some reason, And in the background of that are the other appointments also made by the BJP, like that of a principal secretary, bringing out ordinance. And so that is the issue, whether the government will carry on with this kind of making the appointments of its favorite and now shunting out the people who are inconvenient to them and trying to bring about the people who are more pliable. That's the issue over here as in today. Collegium system need to be changed, there's absolutely no doubt about it. But that change system will have checks and balances. It will have the independent people. Then if you have something against a person, come out in the public. Like whatever you have against Subramaniam, come out in the public. That's what everybody wants to know.
Okay. Everyone wants to know the truth. Everyone wants to...
Yes, the government should come out clean in the public. What do they have against Gopal Subramaniam?
Okay.
Come out in the clean.
Okay, let me take that. Let me take that to Dr. Udit Raj. Of course, a few allegations being made, few things being said about the BJP right now. Dr. Raj, come out in the open and divulge everything about Gopal Subramaniam. Let the entire country know what really is wrong. Don't keep it covered up and don't keep it behind closed doors. That is one. The second thing, of course, is that the BJP is interfering with the independence of the judiciary, is what Mr. H.S. Phoolka is saying. Respond to these two allegations.
See, as far as appointment of judges is concerned, in all over the world, no any country, judiciary judges appoint judges. In our country only, after 93, judges are appointing judges. And you see, it is a purely, as per original provision of the Constitution, it rests with the executive. Who has encroached, now you can see that who has encroached the power of Parliament. Is the president power has been encroached? Even government power has been encroached? And then what is there? What is the business of elected government if elected government cannot have any say in appointment? One and second. So independence of judiciary means that government should not interfere in the judicial process, delivering the judgment, trial, etc. As far as appointment is concerned, this is not interference. Look, in America, USA, those who are going to be appointed judges, before they are appointed, their names are disclosed. It is in public domain. All aspects of that judge, all actions of that judge, characters of the judge, are discussed in public. And of course, in like Canada also, in Britain also, there is a judicial commission. Russia also, the half of the judges are elected and half of the judges are nominated by president. And in America, the president nominates them. And
yes,
how much independence they need? In fact, it's enough. I tell you. So their business, that is delivery of judgment, their independence is required over there, not in the appointment. So
okay.
I don't know.
But if the appointment is flawed, but if the appointment itself is flawed,
in Indian Constitution,
No, I don't buy that argument. Dr. Udit Raj, I don't buy the argument. If the appointment itself is flawed, but if the appointment itself is flawed, how can this person carry out his...
Why don't you buy? You see...
No, my question is, if the appointment itself is flawed, how can this person carry out his duties independently?
No. In the other countries and before 93, the appointments were made by executive, and of course government had say over there. Then of course that was not challenged. Now if government, same thing, a little bit same thing is being repeated, not even completely, and it's a talk, this it's an interference. I don't think that's interference at all. Rather, I have said again, I repeat it, that Parliament power has been increased. Now about half of the laws are being made by judiciary. See, I am speaking in personal capacity here because for the last 16-17 years I have been speaking like this only.
Okay.
That in this country there is no check and balance as far as the action of judiciary is concerned. Whatever judiciary decides, there is no one to challenge it. So they have taken onto themselves. The judges appoint judges. In which country, in which system we have? In our country we have this system. How come it was not a original provision of the constitution? Nobody talks about that.
Let me take what you're saying. Let me take what you're saying to Mr. Tulsi. Let me take what you're saying to Mr. Tulsi. Mr. Tulsi, what Dr. Udit Raj is saying is that, you know, the judiciary is supreme in the country. There is no one above the judiciary. There are no checks and balances as the judiciary is concerned, as far as the judiciary is concerned. And we need those checks and balances to ensure that the judiciary is free and fair, is what he's saying.
Yeah, that's true. You see, only constitution is supreme. Neither the judiciary nor the executive nor the legislature are supreme. It is
but
the
here
job
collegium
of the
is supreme.
Judiciary.
But here collegium is supreme.
No, the collegium, you see, there needs to be a multidisciplinary consultation with regard to the suitability of the nominees. The judiciary may nominate, but it can't arrogate to itself the complete discretion. Consultation is what was provided in the constitution, and Dr. B.R. Ambedkar had rejected the kind of proposal which of collegium, etc. Not really collegium, but where the Chief Justice of India would not be given the power to appoint. Nowhere in the world do you have a judicial system
to appoint the judges.
Also, all constitutional democracies, the appointments are made by multidisciplinary consultation, not by the judges themselves. And number two, I entirely agree with Mr. Udit Raj. There needs to be greater transparency. In the United States, the nominee is chosen by the Attorney General, and before the nomination is sent to the President, there is formal consultation with the bar. There is also then a matter is sent to the Senate committee, Judicial Committee on Appointments of the Senate, and they invite objections. The objectors produce evidence against the nominee. They produce documents on the basis of which they raise the objections. The nominee can cross-examine the witnesses produced by the objectors, and similarly after the nominee can also produce his evidence, and the objectors can cross-examine their witnesses.
Okay.
It's only after that that the committee makes its recommendations to Senate, and unless the Senate approves, the proposal cannot go through to the President.
I think we are all on the same page.
Transparency. This can't be like cloak.
I think we are all on the same page as far as greater transparency is concerned, and how to appoint a new judge is concerned. There needs to be some kind of a change as far as this is concerned. But till that time, as this happens, what needs to be done in the interim, Satya Prakash?
What needs to be done, you cannot do anything. There is a system which is already in place. But how that system runs, there are two arguments. One is that the government is completely excluded from the process.
Revert back to the old system. Revert back to old system.
Dr. Raj, I'm coming to you in just a bit. Dr. Raj, I'm coming to you in just a bit.
Hold on. Power of appointing the judges was with the executive.
I'm coming to you in just a bit. Hold on.
It was not completely with the executive.
Today I was sorry to say.
But I'm saying two things. One, till the time this system, collegium system is in place, you have to follow this. But even in this system, there are two things. One is the judiciary is trying to exert its right that as if they are the only ones who have the right to appoint judges. It is not. Even in the current system, the government has a say that if the file goes to the government will consider it. If they have any objection, they will put the exception.
But the final say is still with the CJI.
Final say is still with the CJI. But I am telling you, you are going to see more of this kind of confrontation. Why? Because since 1989, we never had a government which had a one-party government, the government which had complete majority in the House. And during this, interestingly, during this period, between 89 and till now, the judiciary has somehow encroached upon the areas which were traditionally, I would say, rather reserved for the executive. And this is one of 1993 judgment is one such area where they have somehow established an extra constitutional mechanism for appointment of judges. This collegium system is not provided for in the constitution. But now that you have a one-party government, there is political stability in the country. The government in power, they would try to assert and the judiciary will have to consider that.
This is just the beginning, is what you're saying.
Yes,
This is just the
yes.
beginning. We're going to see much more of this in the future. No.
I'm not suggesting.
Mr. Phoolka, isn't that a worrying trend? Isn't that a worrying trend? What Satya Prakash is saying?
It is not due to BJP or non-BJP.
This is of course a worrying trend because of the reason that as long as the BJP was in opposition, they were against the Congress interfering in the judiciary. That is the reason that the Judicial Appointment Commission was being proposed, where there will be people apart from the government also. Now today the BJP has come in power. They want to revert back to the old system, number one. Number two, what is being said that the judiciary...
Back to old system. They are talking about a new system.
No, Mr. Raj, Dr. Raj has
Dr.
said.
Raj indeed said that he wants to revert
Now
to the old
today
system.
you want to revert back. As long as you are in opposition, you do not want the executive to have a complete say. You want independence of the judiciary. You want transparency. You want leader of opposition. You want independent jurists into it. But the moment you come into power, everything should be changed. Now, number one. Number two, what is being said that the judiciary has transgressed into certain areas, which is the power of the executive and legislature. Unfortunately, we all know in our country the executive and the legislature have abdicated its functions. The kind of the scams with the intention of the legislature and as well as the executive.
Okay, let him respond.
It's the judiciary which had to come to
let
save
Dr.
the
Udit
nation.
Raj respond. Dr. Udit Raj, when you were in the opposition, you didn't want anything, you didn't want any of this to happen. Now suddenly that you're in power, you want everything to go your way. That's what Mr. Phoolka is saying.
No. Mr. Phoolka is wrong. He should go back, and I am referring that when Vajpayee ji was Prime Minister, and our government, that time the government hell bent upon to constitute a National Judicial Commission. It was not done, and our Arun Jaitley ji has been always advocating for setting up a judicial commission through which the appointment should take place, and that's completely wrong and out of place what he says. And I tell you, sometime I am surprised that what the parliament should do is being done by judiciary here. Sometimes half of the laws are made by judiciary and half of the parliament. Then what for parliament is there? Like for judiciary, for everything, for even development, transfer posting, development, and other and projects and mineral, all these things are there. Do you think this is originally? It's a area of judiciary. Judiciary to interpret the law and apply the law. Basic function is that, but we somehow, because looking at the situation in the country, somehow people have, of course, maybe because of political reason, that it has been allowed. But let me tell you, the real objective of judiciary is to interpret the law and apply the law.
Okay, let me take that to Mr. Phoolka, and then I'll get closing comments from all my guests. Why do you need lawmakers when the judiciary makes laws? Is his argument now?
The point is that allow the people like A. Raja to do the scams of thousands of crores of rupees, and the court should remain silent. Number one. Number two, allow the politicians to declare that we will not disclose in which criminal cases we are involved. When the politicians are doing this kind of a thing, it is because of this reason that judiciary had to interfere to save the constitution.
Okay.
To save the constitution, to save this nation.
Mr. Phoolka, completely out of time. I'm going to get final comments from all my guests, starting with Mr. Tulsi. Mr. Tulsi, final closing comments from you on the show.
You see, I entirely agree with Mr. Udit Raj. Each pillar of the government, each pillar of the state needs to stay within its limits. The core function of judiciary is to adjudicate. If in adjudication of the cases the judiciary is going to take 20 years and spend half its time in public interest litigation, the purpose is not being served. They are not discharging the core function. They need to concentrate on the core function, speed up the adjudication process from the top to the bottom, and only then can it be said that why transgress into others?
Okay.
If the executive is not functioning, you say that we have to discharge their function. Then the executive can say the same thing about the judiciary. The judiciary is not deciding cases, therefore we have to decide. No one can transgress into the field of the others.
All right, Satya Prakash, closing comments from you in 10 seconds. We're completely out of time.
2 points. One, the collegium system must be changed, and the government must bring in a bill which lapsed in the last with the lapse dissolution of 15th Lok Sabha. Second, this is first just the beginning of the confrontation between the judiciary and the executive. Now that you have one party government, and
we're going to see more of this in the future, is what you're saying. Okay, Dr. Raj, final comments from you in 10 seconds, please.
I have said it, and I'm going to repeat it again, that they should go to the old system, and that is in conformity with the constitutional provision.
Okay.
Number two, and I don't see anywhere that their independence is being compromised, and government has not done any such sort of things.
All right, of course, Mr. Phoolka, final comments from you. I'm going to let you have the last word on the show.
The Judicial Appointment Commission, which is like Dr. Raj said, that which was proposed by Arun Jaitley, that should be constituted at the earliest.
Okay.
With the independent people into it. At the same time, the judiciary transgressing into the area of executive and the legislature is to save the constitution and to save the democracy.
All right. Completely out of time on the show. We'll have to call it a wrap on that. Of course, you've heard both sides of the argument. You've heard arguments in favor of the present collegium system and others as well. I'm going to let you have the last word and decide, of course, where exactly this particular issue is heading. Whether we're going to see further confrontation, only time will tell, and we'll have to wait and see what exactly happens as far as the judiciary and the government is concerned. That's it on this edition of The Big Picture. Thank you so much for watching.